Ever feel like you're caught in some kind of relationship déjà vu? You know, the same arguments, the same anxieties, the same unsatisfying endings, just with a different person's face? It's so frustrating. And it's really easy to start thinking, maybe I'm the problem. But what if I told you it's not really you? What if you're just running a program?
I mean, this is the question, isn't it? You meet someone, it feels incredible, you think this is the one, it's different this time. And then, slowly, almost sneakily, those old familiar patterns start to creep back in. And you're left wondering, how did I get back here again? So let's get this straight right now. You are not broken. You're not too needy or too cold or just bad at relationships. You are running a piece of code. A program that got installed in your mind before you could even form memories, and it's been running on autopilot in the background of your life ever since. Okay, so for this first part, let's think about these frustrating loops not as some kind of deep personal failing, but more like a glitch, a predictable and honestly a totally understandable glitch in your internal operating system that shapes how you try to connect with other people. This quote just hits so hard, doesn't it? Because that feeling is so common. But here's the key. This pattern isn't a personality flaw, it's actually a survival strategy that your nervous system learned a long, long time ago. It's a system that's trying its best to protect you, even when its methods end up causing you pain today. So if we're running a program, where on earth did this source code come from? Well, it all goes back to something we can call your relational blueprint. The technical term for this is your attachment style, but really what it is, it's a set of unconscious conclusions your brain came to when you were tiny. Conclusions about what love is, whether you're worthy of it, and what you can realistically expect from other people. And this blueprint, it influences everything. Who you're drawn to, how you handle intimacy, and what you do when things get tough. And here's exactly how that code got written. Think about it. When you're an infant, you have one job: survive. And your brain is running this constant, simple experiment. When I'm in distress, when I cry out for help, does someone show up? And based on the answer to that question, your nervous system made a huge fundamental decision. The world is either a safe place or it's not. People are either reliable or they're not. You didn't get a say in it, but you were living out that conclusion every single day. All right, so this early life programming results in a few different operating systems. Let's break down the four main attachment programs that most of us are running on. One is called secure, and the other three are different types of insecure. Now, before we get into the details, I want you to see this, because it's a big deal. Only about half of the population actually has what's called a secure attachment style. That means the other half, literally 50% of people, are navigating the world with one of the insecure styles. So if any of this is starting to sound familiar, trust me, you are in very, very good company. Let's start with the baseline, the secure style. These are the folks who generally grew up with caregivers who were there for them pretty consistently. As adults, this translates into a kind of ease in relationships. They can get close to someone without freaking out, and they can have space without seeing it as a sign of doom. It's kind of like the default setting, the one we compare the others to. And this is where we see the wires connecting our past to our present so clearly. For the anxious style, care was on again, off again, which created this deep belief that you have to stay hyper alert or people will leave. For the avoidant, emotional distance from a caregiver taught them that needing anyone is risky, and the only person you can truly count on is yourself. And then there's disorganized, which often comes from a caregiver who is both a source of comfort and a source of fear. It creates this impossible internal paradox of come here, but go away, all at the same time. So, what happens when these different operating systems try to link up and form a relationship? Well, that's when things get interesting, and it's where these patterns really come out to play, often in ways that are incredibly predictable and pretty painful. And here we have the most common insecure pairing of all, the anxious avoidant trap. There is a magnetic pull here. The anxious person sees the avoidant's independence and thinks, wow, they're so strong and stable. And the avoidant sees the anxious person's passion and thinks, wow, they really care. It feels perfect at first because on the surface they seem to complete each other. But here's the fundamental conflict. The anxious program strategy for calming down is to move closer, to seek reassurance. But that very act of moving closer is the thing that triggers the avoidant program's deepest fear of being smothered. So their strategy for safety is to pull back and create space, which, of course, triggers the anxious person's deepest fear of being abandoned. And so the dance begins. It's a tragic feedback loop. The more the anxious person pursues, the more the avoidant person retreats. The more they retreat, the more panicked the anxious person becomes. It spirals until both people end up with their worst fears confirmed, and they break up, only to find themselves in the same loop again later, because neither person is the villain here. They're just both running their programming perfectly.
Okay, I know that sounds bleak, but here's the most important part of this whole story. Your attachment style is not a life sentence. Your brain can change. Those patterns that were wired in childhood can absolutely be rewired in adulthood. It's time for a system update.
You can't just delete your history, right? And you don't need to. Healing isn't about erasing the old program. It's about becoming aware of it so you can stop it from running on autopilot. It's about installing new software, new conscious choices that can run right alongside the old code. Now, here's the paradox, and this is so important. Healing doesn't always feel good at first. In fact, it often feels really, really uncomfortable. If you're used to being numb and avoidant, actually feeling your emotions can be overwhelming. If you're used to chaos, a calm, secure relationship can feel boring or even threatening. This discomfort isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that your nervous system is waking up. It's a sign that you're actually coming back online.
And that's really where it all begins. It's not about finding the perfect person who will fix you. It's about understanding the program you're carrying inside yourself. The second you can look at your own patterns and say, oh, there it is, I see what's happening, it stops being who you are, and it just becomes something you do. And anything you do, you can choose to do differently. That little bit of space between the trigger and your reaction, that's where all your power is.